again. Today we're on Chapter 3 for Driver's Ed. It's titled Basic Vehicle Operation. If you want to turn to page 42, we'll go ahead and get started. Lesson 3.1, titled Controls, Devices, and Instruments. So this is all the things that are part of the car. So inside, of course, everybody knows what the steering wheel is. Many cars have adjustable steering where you can move the position up and down, even telescoping where it can go in and out. Shift lever, again, many different locations. Up on the steering column for an automatic, sometimes they're between the two seats, such as the driver's ed car, where you just move it into drive, reverse, whatever. On our van that we used to have, it's kind of on the dash. I thought that was a real handy spot. I really liked that one. And then of course, if it's a manual, then it's usually on the floor. Cruise control, this is a real nice feature. You can get up to speed, set cruise, and then you don't have to worry about keeping your foot on the gas. A lot of students will go too fast or they get too slow, and it's hard to maintain that constant speed. It is a good habit. A good thing to be able to do is to monitor your speed, but for a long trip, cruise is very, very nice. A couple of quick features about it. So you have to turn it on, and then once it's on, you can set it at the speed you want. If you want to increase, usually you push up, and that will increase it by every push. If you push down, then it will drop down 1 mile for each push. If you push and hold, that will be just like you're pushing the gas pedal. So it will increase speed until you let go, and then it will reset. Same thing with the other button, or when you push down and hold it, it will slow down until you let go, and then it resets. If you have it set at 80 miles an hour, and you have to tap your brake for some reason, and then you want to resume that speed, you just push the button up and let go, and it will resume to 80 miles an hour. So cruise is really nice. Accelerator pedal, of course, the gas pedal, brake pedal. So the more gas you give it, the faster you go, and the harder you push on the brake, the quicker you will stop. Parking brake, again, could be in various places. If you're parked on a hill, the parking brake or emergency brake can hold the car in place. Some cars, it's down on the left. You push it, and then there's a lever to release, or you push it again, and it will release the parking brake. Driver's ed car, it's between the two seats. You just lift up on it, and then to release it, you pull up and push the button and put it back down. If you drive I know this is a feature on a Toyota pickup, maybe the older ones, it has a little lever under the dash, and you pull it, that sets the brake, and then you turn it and let it go, and it will release it. On my Impala that we have, it's just a little button on the dash, and you pull it, and you can hear a compressor setting the brake. And when you are ready to go, you push the opposite direction, and it will release it. Okay, the shift indicator positions. My kids are older now, but they used to watch The Sweet Life of Zach and Cody. I don't know if some of you maybe have seen that, but I'm always reminded of that with this section because I think the girl's name was London Tipton, and she said, oh yeah, the Prindle. So park, reverse, neutral, drive, and low. And she called it Prindle. So park, if you're not driving, it's the car is in park. Reverse backs up. Neutral means it's not in gear. The car would roll. Drive, of course, to move forward. Some cars have just L for lower gears. You might have 1, 2, or 3. Driver's ed car also has an M, which means manual. And then you shift it by pushing the plus or minus button. Communication and safety. So safety belts, of course, keep us safe, keep us in the car. They are very important. Please wear your safety belts. Whenever I see or hear about an accident, I'm always waiting for that part of this story, if the person has died in the crash, that they were not wearing a seatbelt. We've had a few recently here in Millard County over the last month, maybe about 3 accidents or crashes, and all 3 could have been saved by wearing their seatbelt. Head restraints, that's the thing behind the seat. You want to have that properly adjusted so your head doesn't go, if it's too low, your head can go back. If it's too high, then the neck can go underneath, so have it properly adjusted. Your inside rear view mirror, outside mirrors, make sure those are adjusted properly. You can't adjust for a blind spot. You can sometimes get those little bubble mirrors and stick them on. You can maybe see more, but that's quite small. So again, make sure to do your head check. Every car has to have a working horn. Hazard flashers, you push the button, it's usually a red triangle, 2 red triangles, and that will have all of those amber colored lights or red lights flashing. Turn signal lever, okay, you tell people what direction you're going by using the signal. So up sends you right, down you're going left. And there is no such thing as blinker fluid. Okay, windshield wipers and washers, those are important to keep working properly. Light switch, some cars have auto, means they turn on and off when it's dark or light. If not, then you just need to make sure to turn them on, and you can turn park lights, then the headlights. Hood release, so down underneath there's usually a release to pop the hood. Once you get around in front, then you have to pull the lever to lift the hood. So it's a safety feature. You pull the thing inside the car and it just pops up, but it still has to be manually unlocked or unlatched to lift it up in the front. Heater, air conditioner, and defroster, these are good features. Don't let it get too warm. You can get sleepy. The defroster, make sure it's turned on immediately in cold weather. You don't want to have a problem with the windshield. If you have a crack in it and you delay putting that defroster up on the windshield, it can crack the window. Sun visor, okay, pull that down, pull it to the side, help you deflect some of that sun. And then the seat adjustment lever. So driver's ed car, it'll go forward and back. It can go up and down. If you're a little bit shorter, you can raise it up. And then of course the seat back will go up and back. Don't drive like some kids where they're really reclined. You don't want to be any closer than 10 inches with the seat. Instrument panel, important gauges, so your fuel gauge. If you happen to have your fuel gauge not working, then you should be able to tell by mileage. If you've had it for a while and you know about how long you can go before you need to get gas. Temperature light or gauge. Again, if the car is heating up, that's a very bad problem. That probably the worst problem with a car is heat. So make sure to be aware of that one. Oil pressure warning light. Check your oil, make sure you don't get too low on that. You can seize up an engine if it's way low. Alternator warning light. The alternator charges the battery. So when you start the car, it takes a little power from the battery. As you drive, the alternator, which is an electric motor, puts that power back into the battery, keeps it charged. Excuse me. Brake system warning lights. So if you have any problem with your brakes, that light will come on. Speedometer, again, tells you how fast you're going. Driver's ed car has 2 of them. So has the gauge, which shows you the speed, and it also has a digital speed showing up in the middle. Tachometer, this shows you the RPMs. So as you're accelerating, the RPMs will go up. When the car shifts, it'll go back down to a lower RPM, and then it will build again as it shifts. Anti-lock braking system, ABS. So if you push real hard on the brake, the wheels will not lock up. That's why they're called anti-lock. But you might hear a sound. You also might feel a pulsing sensation as you use the ABS brakes. Safety belt light, many cars have warnings and beeping if you are not putting your belt on. Our old van was about every block. I think our Impala, if we go to church, it'll go off twice before we get there. So it kind of reminds you that you need to put your seatbelt on. Airbag warning lights. So I just got a thing in the mail yesterday. If I see an airbag light come on, even though, say, my wife is sitting there, then there's some electrical problem. So far we're good, we haven't noticed that. Turn signal indicators, okay, so it'll flash with a little green arrow and also make the sound as you're signaling. High beam indicator, usually a little blue light with, kind of looks like that. Means your high beams are on. Check engine light. This one, if you have a problem, it will say check engine, so don't overlook that. Make sure to get that checked out. And then again, the message center. Most cars have computers now, the newer ones. If there's a problem, it will alert you to some of those. If there's ice present, if your tires are low, whatever, it'll show up in the message center. Number 2, getting ready to drive. Before opening the door, have the key in your hand ready. As you approach it, you can look under the vehicle, look at your tires, see if there's any problems. Maybe somebody backed into you in the parking lot. You can be aware of that. Be alert for small children playing around you. This is a very sad occurrence that 200 people a year run over their own children in the driveway. That would be very sad. So my suggestion is, if you're going to back up, walk behind the car. If you're pulling forward, walk in front of the car before you get in. Check the windshield, wipe windows, headlights, tail lights. Again, look inside the vehicle before you get in. If you're parked on the street, say it's a busy street, walk in front of the car because you're going to be pulling forward, but also so you can see oncoming traffic before you get in, so you'll know when it's safe. Okay, once you get into the vehicle, lock the doors. Many cars, as soon as you put it in gear, it will lock, or when you reach a certain speed, but it's a good idea, especially in busy areas or at night. Immediately lock your doors, then you're safe till you get moving. Adjust your head restraint, adjust the seat. Again, 10 inches away from the steering wheel. Steering position, they recommend 9 and 3. We were always taught 10 and 2. That was probably before airbags. I still think 10 and 2 is a good position, because a lot of steering wheels will have those little bumps on them, and it's at 10 and 2. Knees should be slightly bent, so don't be so far away from the brake that you can't reach it. So have a little slight bend in your legs. Check and adjust the mirrors before you move forward, and make sure your passengers are all buckled up. This is really an important one, okay? Don't say, oh, they're my friends, I don't want to force them to buckle up. Well, if they're not buckled up, then they're moving around in the car. If you roll and you're wrecked and you're buckled in, but they're not, they're now projectiles, and they'll move around in the car. So you want to make sure that everybody in your car is buckled up. And if they don't want to, don't move the car. I would make sure they're buckled up. It's important. Okay, starting, stopping, steering, and targeting, number 3. Starting the engine, it says parking brake. Really only if you're on an incline do you need to set the brake. Shift lever should be in park. You got to put your right foot on the brake pedal. Once it's started, then you can move it into park or drive, or into reverse or drive, sorry. Insert the key, turn the ignition, check gauges, warning lights, turn on the headlights if you need to. Bottom right, you can see the key. So you put it in, it's in the lock position. To start it, you turn it all the way forward until it starts, then you let go, and it then rests in the on position. I don't know if newer ones do, but you can turn it backwards to the accessory. That way the radio will still play. So again, driver's ed car, turn the key off, take the key out, the radio will still play unless the driver's door is open. Some cars it's any door, but some it's just the driver's door. Okay, there's your steering hand positions. Again, 9 and 3, 8 and 4, those are ones they recommend. So I would say, again, 10 and 2 is a good position. I don't know, 8 and 5 is probably okay, but don't do any single 6 o'clock or 12 o'clock positions. Use targets and steering. Okay, so there's two popular methods. You have hand over hand steering, which is this, okay? That's hand over hand. Hand to hand is this. So you can see it comes up and then it gets to the hand and then it moves it away. The only problem with hand over hand steering is if you happen to be turning, somebody comes out of nowhere and hits the front of your car and you're in this position steering. So if they hit you and it's a newer car, the airbag is going to go off. Okay, that would be a problem, maybe broken arms, shattered face. So be aware of that. Putting the vehicle in motion. So again, foot on the brake, put it in driver reverse, release the parking brake if it's on, check your path, whichever direction you're going, especially blind spots. Acceleration control, you know, some cars are different, you have to push a little harder on the gas, so just doesn't take long to get used to that. Braking control, braking point is the point at which the brakes begin to work and slow the vehicle. Constant braking. So if you have an older vehicle without ABS, you push really hard, it's going to lock up the wheels. To make a normal smooth stop, so we talk about feather or leaf braking. So a feather, it's wider at the bottom than it is the top, same with a leaf. That's the method you should use when you are braking. So let's say you're getting off the freeway. So you're now on the off-ramp. You should press quite hard on the brake. You're still going pretty fast. That will bring the speed of the car down quickly. It's not going to throw your passengers forward. Now if you wait until you get to the bottom and like, oh, I got to get stopped, and you hit the brake hard, that's going to throw your passengers forward. So, okay, feather braking, leaf. Heavy pressure at first, taper at the end. As you get close to the stop sign, then just kind of curl your toes back. You still have pressure, but not as much. And that'll help you with a smooth stop. So if you hit them hard at a slow speed, again, that's going to be a hard stop. But it can be a hard, smooth stop if you know what you're doing. ABS braking, we talked about. Exiting the vehicle, keep your foot on the brake until the shift selector is in park, and please make sure the vehicle is stopped before you put it in park. I've had kids were almost stopped and they throw it into park, and then of course is a bad situation. Set the parking brake if you need to. Obviously shift to park, take your foot off the brake. I would actually put it in park, then set your brake. Turn off headlights if you need to. Remove your safety belt, close windows, turn off the ignition, check for traffic before leaving. Open the door as little as necessary, and then lock the doors once you leave. Okay, a manual transmission. So a transmission is what converts the power of the engine to the wheels, and it's what allows you to shift. It shifts automatically or manually. So now with a manual, you have a clutch, and the important thing to remember there is the friction point. So you've got the gas and the clutch, and the car's running, and you're going to let the clutch out at the right point where you give it enough gas, the car will then move. If you're too fast on the clutch, you can kill the engine, or it may start lurching forward. So it does take a little practice. So just that right amount of clutch out and gas on will get the car moving. Once it is moving, then it's very easy to, push the clutch in, shift, pop it out. Excuse me. Advantages and disadvantages of manual. Manual transmission, better fuel economy. To me, I don't understand how that's possible, because it seems like you would be using more gas as you are shifting, but that's what they say, so I guess we'll believe them. The driver has more control over how power is applied. Inexperienced drivers may place too much of their attention on shifting gears, thus creating distractions from traffic scenes. I remember trying to teach my daughters to drive my older truck, and they did okay, but then I would add things like, don't forget to signal, and that really would be an issue. My son, he didn't have any problem with driving my old truck. Depending on the vehicle, you can see there's 4-speed, 5-speed. I mean, if you have real fancy supercars, they can have as many as 8 forward gears. There's a video that I sometimes show. The car is called a Hennessy Venom GT. Has 8 forward gears, and the top speed is about 270 miles an hour. And the final time that they're shifting, the car is traveling about 225 miles an hour. Hopefully, well, you shouldn't have to worry about something like that, but usually just 4 or 5. And the gear positions are different depending on the manufacturer, what kind of a car you drive. Then there's the semi-automatic transmission or clutchless. I think I already mentioned that. That's what the driver's ed car has. So you can be in manual, and it will only shift when you hit those buttons. So that's a clutchless manual. So today's Wednesday, so we'll do chapter 3, open book on Friday. Again, I hope you're following what I would like, where you do an open and closed book. And keep in mind on the assignments and the tests that I am reading them. And on the most recent assignment, some of the answers for a couple of you were exactly the same. So I can see that maybe you're getting together and doing your assignments together. So be aware of that. Please do your own work. And so please read that chapter. In the announcements, I will have the assignment for you. Thank you.